Scott has so much energy, and what I like about him is he's just so passionate about making our schools the best they can be. And he's so creative, he's full of ideas, and he's got such a great background in policy. He really understands how to get things done. So him being on the school board is very exciting. And I think I was one of the first people to come out and support Scott and encourage him to run. I think my words were, just stop telling me what to do and run for the school board. So let's hear it for Scott McVarish.
Well, when you decide to run for school board, you have to ask yourself some very basic questions like, what are schools for? And why the heck am I doing this? So I think back to many years ago, and I thought schools were basically a good excuse to have a summer vacation. My thinking has evolved a little bit, and times have changed. And times have really changed. The world we live in now is so different than the world that I grew up in, and the world that most of you grew up in. Our economy is so different than the world we grew up in. Next year, every single child that you have or grandchild you have is going to be demanding 3D goggles. And we're going to have to pry them away from a virtual world that is going to be so realistic that some of them might get lost in it. That is the reality we're living in right now. And so my thinking on schools has changed, but has schools changed? Are the schools ready for what our kids are going to be facing in 5, 10, 15 years, or even next year? Are they ready? It's not just a K through 12 thing. I graduated from UCLA Law School, and I go back there every once in a while, and I'm asked to speak to the students. And the law schools are still training their students to go into law firms. When I graduated from UCLA Law School, about 90% of my colleagues went straight to law firms. Right now, it's less than 40%, but they're still doing the same program. And so the amount of unemployed law students, I know this is not a big sympathy thing, but it's an illustration of how little public education changes. And that's UCLA, which now, by the way, costs $140,000 to graduate from law school. So I don't know if public schools are changing fast enough. I feel an urgency. I have a daughter who's going to be in middle school in 1 year. So that urgency is very real with me. I want to see the changes. I want to be able to be part of that discussion. When I look out and try to answer the question for myself, what are schools for? I see it. I asked my daughter, what are schools for? And she said, well, to educate you. And, you know, I hate to tell you folks, I'm probably not going to come up with a better answer than that during this race. But when I break that down, I think about a broad education that students need. And I think our district does a great job on that. You've got the A through G requirements that get you into UCs and Cal States. You've got Common Core and the changes that that's going to bring in next gen. So you've got this broad education that Culver City does very well with. But you also need the specific parts of education, the things that are going to make people ready for 2015, for 2018, for 2021. And that's where I see us being able to make some improvements. And that's a dialogue I want to bring. Specifically, I want to propose to my colleagues that we consider having more career path academies. We sort of have it with audiovisual performing arts. They do a great job. But why can't we have it for STEM, science, technology, engineering, math? Why can't we have it for industrial arts, the trades? Right now, a master's electrician without even a college degree, starting salary is $80,000. $120,000 if you've got 3 years into it. Why can't we have an academy that works with our students and gives them those types of skills? A leadership academy where we're teaching entrepreneurial skills, writing skills, speaking skills, where we teach social change skills and public service skills. These are academies that we can bring into our high schools that will bring in an extra elective or two perhaps, that we can bring in field trips, we can have assemblies that are focused on these matters, that we can bring in the amazing Culver City community we have. The Hayden track is full of unbelievable technology companies. I know because I work with a few of them. Work for less money, they don't. with that type of immigration, you have to pay the prevailing wage. But we're not graduating the people for those specific skill sets. So I want to give our students that opportunity to benefit from those types of programs. I realize that for the next year or two, if I'm on the board, I'm going to be focused on one thing and one thing only. And Steve Levin, what is that?
I don't want to tell you what you're going to be focused on. Capital projects.
That's right, capital projects. I understand that. So I'm talking about long-term goals, long-term visions. And to answer the second question, why am I running for school board? Well, I want to introduce my daughter, Jania. Come on up, please. And she's bringing her friends. They do traveling packs. And these three lovely girls who I know very well, I've coached them in volleyball, we hosted them for many play dates, and especially my daughter. This is the urgency I feel. This is the deep, passionate commitment I have to our schools. There is no one that can doubt the passion that Ann and I feel for our schools, because she has two lovely children as well. And that's really what I'm in it for. A few years ago, when I, with Janine here, began the United Parents of Culver City and with other people in this room, it was because I didn't feel like parents' voices were being heard at the time. We've corrected that. There's been a lot of change, both in the administration and on the school board level, and our voices are being heard. And so now we're transitioning from a group where we have to demand to be heard because we were being ignored, to being a team. And we have a great administrative team right now. And that administrative team has hired great administrators and principals, and we've got great teachers. And I'm ready to be on that team. I want to be on that team. I love everybody on that team. And that, I guess, is why I partly want to run, is Ann and I will work great together with that team. And if we're on it, that team will function very well. Because if we're on it, that means other people who might not work as well with that team will not be on it. So there you go. Every possible reason to support us. So thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you on September 13th, which will be our family picnic kickoff at Lindbergh Park. Also my birthday. The only present I want is checks for Ann and I. So you can gift wrap them if you want. But September 13th will be our next event. But thank you so much for coming out tonight. And we're going to give it back to Laura, and Clark will be invited up. Thank you.